Hello, this is aspiring author Mark Paulus, and welcome to my channel, Getting Lost in a Story. We are going on a literary road trip, as you may know if you saw episode 1 of this series, and we are going state by state through the United States as if we were driving a car, and but we're not. We're sitting right here at home, and we are reading a novel each month from each state by an author who was born in that state. And so that's what we are here for tonight. And
I wish it were an actual road trip.
Oh yes, you can't beat a road trip. Maybe we'll do a Route 66 literary road trip at some point. That would be really cool.
Good.
By the way, this is my wife, Nancy, joining me on this road trip, which means she's reading the books with me, and we're going to talk about them together. And I lost my place. So, do you want to talk about how we're doing that, how we're reading the books together?
Well, we're reading the books to each other. I do have to admit I was a little, do we really want to do this? But it's been great, and it's been a way of spending time together, and it's been a way to bring us closer, and I've really loved it. But we have to trade often because our eyes start to go blurry with reading the words. So
yeah, more so mine than hers. I think you read about 90% of this first book, but she kept saying, "Oh, I love to read out loud," and she does very well at it. So
I do love that. I've loved doing that all my life.
Jack, she put her hands on my shoulders. Stop me. It's after 10 o'clock. Forget it. Forget it? He could have gotten us killed.
I've got my little senior eyes aid here. These are my clip-on glasses that magnify things 1.5 times. When I have those on, I can make it a lot further in reading. I landed on loose stones and half stumbled, half slid down the slope toward the cave entrance. That's what we have been doing for the last month, and we've been enjoying our little reading dates when we get to do them. Now, we live in Illinois, and pardon me for looking down at my notes, but that's how it's going to go. We live in Illinois, and so we began with an author, of course, born in Illinois. Boy, there were some good ones. There's Ray Bradbury was born. In fact, we used to live about 20-25 minutes away from where he was born.
Where was he born?
Waukegan. Oh. Another one is Ernest Hemingway, who you might not know, who would be born in Illinois. He's when I heard that, I'm like, get out of here. He was born in Florida, because he's so associated with the Keys and the ocean and all that. But no, he was born in Illinois. We could have read him. My favorite Christian author, or one of my favorite Christian authors, Terry Blackstock, was born in Illinois, and there are many others, some of them well known, but the author that we went with for the first leg of our road trip, or the first location of our road trip, was Michael Crichton, who was born in Chicago, and we went with his book, Pray, P-R-E-Y.
Backwards.
Pray. I think it'll come out forwards when you play it back. I think. Well, we'll see. There's so many things on the internet that are backwards because of the way the iPhone defaults to that. It makes right-handed guitar players look like they're left-handed, and so on and so forth. Anyway, that's the novel we decided to read. And before we dive into the book, I just want to share a few things that I've learned about Michael Crichton as I did some research. Some of this is from Wikipedia. Some of it is from michaelcrichton.com, which has a lot of good information on his stories and the various formats in which he created them. But starting with who he was born in Chicago on October 23rd, 1942. He trained in medicine, earning an MD from Harvard Medical School in 1969. But even with that great credential behind him, he decided not to pursue medicine because he had been writing. And his first, I think the book that made him known, the book sold a lot of copies, was the Andromeda Strain. He had written more before that. But that one I think he finished while he was in med school. I don't know if that book was the reason he said, hey, I'm going to write, I'm not going to practice medicine. But that book was certainly a huge success for him. And he went on and published during his lifetime 25 novels, and then other works that he had written and not published were published posthumously. And so 4 novels came out after his death, which occurred on November 4th, 2008 from lymphoma. And early on he used several pen names. In 1972, with one of his more famous books, The Terminal Man, which was also made into a movie. We'll talk about that in a minute. He began writing exclusively under his real name. So you can find all this information online. He also wrote a few nonfiction books and some short stories. And he's very involved in filmmaking, too. Some of his books were made into movies. One you might have heard of, Jurassic Park, and there were others as well. Some of those he wrote and directed, and some of them he might have been a co-screenwriter, and some of them he produced, and he did all kinds of things in the film industry. And just to run down some of his books. The Andromeda Strain, like I said, was published in 1971. It was a sci-fi thriller about a biological crisis that threatens the Earth. And it was made into a film and directed by Robert Wise. And if you know the name Robert Wise, I tell you, when you're an up-and-coming author and the first time your book is turned into a movie and you get somebody like Robert Wise to direct it, it's kind of like you've arrived, because this guy is a big deal as a director in Hollywood.
He's very wise.
Among others, he directed West Side Story, The Sound of Music, The Sand Pebbles. I remember when that was out in the theaters, I think, when I was a kid. I never knew what it was about and never saw it, but I just kind of remember it, I think.
I don't know, remember that one, but the next one you say...
The Body Snatchers.
The next one after that.
Yeah.
The Day the Earth Stood Still. That movie impacted my childhood.
He still has nightmares about it.
It's responsible. I mean, it was a low budget, it seemed like, even for back then. But the guy who supposedly could control the robot who was going to destroy the Earth had to remember a certain password to make him shut down his laser eyes or something. That's what I remember from when I was probably 7 years old or 10 years old maybe. And that whole idea of not remembering something important just fused itself into my brain. And to this day, I have like a phobia about not remembering a group of numbers or remembering what someone tells me. So that was really insightful for me, reading this thing.
The work of Robert Wise, ladies and gentlemen. So a good director can do that to you.
And I think we're kind of taking a bunny trail, but
I think so
whatever.
Too. And by the way, I think they remade The Day the Earth Stood Still way more recently, but we're talking about the black and white one.
So was that Wise that did that one?
No, he did the original.
The original black and white one. Okay.
I think.
You can let us know in the comments if you know
That's
the
what
answer.
I think, anyway. Well, he was very active back then, so that must have been the one he did. The Haunting, and Star Trek, the motion picture. Some of those I saw in the theater. And then he was the film editor on what some people consider the greatest movie ever made, Citizen Kane. I think he got nominated for an Academy Award for his editing work on that. So, I mean, you get this guy directing the movie version of your book, and you got to be thinking, this is going to work out very nicely for me. But anyway, Crichton himself said of the Andromeda Strain, quote, when the book was published, lots of people thought it was true. It was pretty interesting. When Bob Wise set out to make the movie, his researchers assumed that everything was true too. So they went out and found all the things the book talked about. The underground laboratory, the computer programs, the biometric security. After a while, I stopped telling people that I had made it all up, because it turned out that it was based on true things, but I didn't know that when I was writing the book. And, we're going to see that about Michael Crichton. He was kind of a Jules Verne. I mean, the guy's writing about stuff that then happens. But The Great Train Robbery was another book of his. It was turned into a movie. That was published in 1975. It's a caper adventure set in Victorian England. It was made into a film also, and that starred Sean Connery, Donald Sutherland, and Leslie Ann Down. So he was playing in the big leagues. Michael Crichton wrote the screenplay and directed the movie based on his own novel. And then, of course, Jurassic Park. The book was published in 1990, sold 9 million copies in the first 3 years, and became Crichton's signature novel. He was also, when Spielberg turned that into a movie in 1993, and Crichton was involved in the early stages of writing the screenplay. They brought in some other people, probably did rewrites following the one that Crichton was a writer on. And many more books I mentioned before. He wrote a lot of books. And then Select Films, he wrote and directed. I never knew this, so I just started looking this stuff up. He wrote and directed 1973's Westworld, which is a cool movie.
I saw that at the theater.
Yeah.
With
Yul Brynner. Yeah.
The King and I guy.
Yeah, right. Etc., etc. Yeah, so Westworld, 1978's Coma, which was, you were asking if he wrote Coma, but he wrote and directed the film, and it was based on the novel by Robin Cook.
Oh, yeah, I read that one back then.
Then wrote and directed the movie based on his The Great Train Robbery. That came out in 1979, and then also a 1981 film called Looker, and that starred Albert Finney, James Coburn, Susan Day, and Lee Taylor Young. And 1984's Runaway, which starred Tom Selleck, Gene Simmons. Yes, that Gene Simmons, the bass player from Kiss.
That was my question, was it?
It was.
Did he wear his makeup in there?
I'm sure he did not wear his makeup. He probably kept his tongue in his mouth and did not breathe fire. So he wrote and directed those movies, and he was a co-screenwriter for Jurassic Park, as I said before, for 1993's Rising Sun, which starred Sean Connery, Wesley Snipes, and Harvey Keitel. And this was another one I did not know until I started looking this up. 1996's Twister. He was starring Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. He was a co-screenwriter on that movie.
I wonder what he would think of what was the remake of the Twister?
Twisters, I think, wasn't it?
I don't know, but
just plural.
He isn't around anymore. I wonder what he would think.
Yeah, I wonder. And then he was also a producer on a number of films. So, I mean, boy, the guy, he had his hand in a lot of hits. And then a really big hit was a TV show. He wrote some episodes of various shows over the years, but the one that really stands out was he was the creator of ER, and we watched ER when it was on originally, and we wouldn't miss it. It was a huge hit, and he was a writer on that, and like I said, he created it and he executive produced it.
The TV show impacted my life. When he lost the star of it lost a patient, a little child. I just couldn't even watch it after that hardly. And of course, I was going through mothering my children, but it just really affected me.
So between ER and the day the Earth stood still, you've been pretty wrecked.
I am. He ruined me. I never even knew his name.
So now, all of that, plus some things I didn't mention, those were just some select items. What an amazingly prolific output from someone who lived 66 years. 66 years. And he was probably working on stuff for less than 50 of those years. And there's a comedian from way back named Tom Lear. I heard him many years ago. He was talking about a woman, a song he did, a comedic song called Alma. He was talking about a woman named Alma who I believe was German, and she had managed to marry 3 really important men. Mahler, the composer, was one of them, and there were a couple of others, and he made the comment about her that it's people like that make you realize just how little you've accomplished. And I think Michael Crichton could probably fit that too.
I would say so.
Yeah. So, now let's go ahead and talk about this novel about prey from 2002. So it was down the road in his list of novels that he wrote, and it features, like a lot of his books do, technology as a thing man tries to use, sometimes to control nature. In this book, they're really trying to create a way to see inside the body for medical reasons, but they're controlling technology and creating something that gets out of control and becomes something that can overcome them and overcome the world. And then the big conflict in the book is about fighting to get that back under wraps and save not only themselves but perhaps humanity. You think even Jurassic Park could be described in terms like that. And it's not that he has some formula, I don't think. I've read, I think, one other book of his, Timeline, which was a time travel book, which I just loved. And I don't think it's a formula. I just think he moved in those circles. He knew about that stuff from his med studies, and he probably studied a lot of other stuff, computer technology and everything on his own, because he had a lot of knowledge of those things, and he writes stories that involve those things. And so this book is no exception to that. These are
kind of prophetic, like what is going to happen. I wonder what he would have thought of AI. I mean, when I was reading it, I thought, whoa, this seems like it's foretelling something. But
it sure felt that way. Considering it was 2002, and that's when it was published. So it might have even been a couple years before that he got the ideas and started writing it. But I'm going to read the description of this novel from the back cover. And here, speaking of senior eyes, well, this might mess things up, but maybe if I turn it this way, it won't be so bad. In the Nevada desert, an experiment has gone horribly wrong. A cloud of nanoparticles, micro-robots, has escaped from the laboratory. This cloud is self-sustaining and self-producing. It is intelligent and learns from experience. This cloud of nanoparticles learns from experience. For all practical purposes, it is alive. It has been programmed as a predator. It is evolving swiftly, becoming more deadly with each passing hour. Every attempt to destroy it has failed, and we are the prey. Yeah. So, I don't know. That's a real cool synopsis there, I think. And so, let's just talk about the book. And I've got some questions here, discussion questions that would be like book club kind of questions. I'll put these in the comments. So if you would like to access them and maybe answer them yourself. And I think for every book we do on this road trip, we'll probably follow this same format for the books. That way people can read the books and know what's coming and have their own ideas of what they would say about these things. So anyway, let's talk about what we thought of the book, just overall.
Well, I really liked it. I couldn't wait to get to, I didn't want to stop reading it, and I couldn't wait to get to the next session. That to me is a success.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I call this channel Getting Lost in a Story. I talked a lot about that in episode 1 to set all these things up. I don't know if I ever felt I got lost in the story. I was just, and maybe being read to, that won't happen. I don't know. So we'll see as we go along. But that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed it immensely. It wasn't one of those that I also talked about in episode 1 where I got to the end and said, oh, I wish that was a true story. You know, it was over and I thought, wow, that was a good story.
Exciting.
Good story. Yeah.
Captured me though.
Yeah. So let's talk about what impressed us about the story. Any thoughts on that?
I thought he has a talent for, because he had to explain a lot of the technical stuff, the nanoparticles and stuff, and he has a way of doing it so that it's not boring, not like you're reading a textbook, and so it was, I feel like I was learning stuff. I don't know if it's actual stuff or fiction, but it was understandable, easily understandable as someone who's not so technically minded.
Yeah, that I've got that written down for another question down the road, but it fits here too. I had that same feeling about it, but it was. It's a technical subject he's dealing with, and so he talks about nano stuff, and he talks about life, and I, as a Christian, which I've mentioned before, I'm not a believer in evolution as the explanation for our origins. Michael Crichton, I think, clearly is, and he does a lot of talking about that, but it's not like he's trying to preach it. He has a real good handle on what he believes about it, and the thing that's being dealt with here is these, without giving away the story, these nanoparticles, nanobots. It even talked about in the description on the back of the book, how they're evolving and they're learning and they're adapting to their environment. And of course, the theory of evolution has a lot of that in its explanations. And so he would talk about that, and he would give examples of microscopic things and how they developed and all this kind of thing. Not because he's preaching it, but because he wanted the reader to understand what's going on with the swarm, or these swarms, because there are multiple ones, and how they're learning, how they're developing, how they're growing, how they're functioning. And so it was almost like he's saying, it's like the way things evolved, and well, that's what's going on, these particles. And he would go on for maybe a couple of pages talking about that, or a couple of pages talking about computer technology, or, other scientific things too. But it never got dry. It never seemed like, I never sat there saying, okay, I got it, you can move on, or anything like that. It was always in the context of telling the story about these swarms. And so I just thought it was pretty masterful, because I think a lot of people would be heavy-handed in trying to do that, and he wasn't at all. So, did anything disappoint you about the movie?
Nothing comes to mind.
I guess for me, I keep referring to episode 1. If you're watching this, you might have watched that too. I talked in there about trying to make sure that these books that we're going to be reading are pretty clean fiction. They don't have to be G-rated, but I kind of like PG or PG-13 or something maybe. And this one had a lot of language in it, and I wasn't expecting that, because I don't remember that from Timeline. I don't remember that being something that bothered me.
We altered certain words.
Yeah, we substituted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, substitute is the word.
Yeah, like, poop, or something like that. But we had a lot of fun with that. And a lot of F-bombs in here, a lot of taking of the Lord's name in vain. So I might say something like Jiminy Crickets, or something, as we were.
We could have said fudge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we could have. Yeah, like Ralphie back in the day. But that's probably the main thing. Well, also, there was the situation, real tense situation, where they're confronting these things and trying to destroy them, trying to figure out how to destroy them. And it's kind of panicked scenes going on as they're being confronted by the swarms. I don't think that gives away too much. And I would have liked to... There was a lot of stuff about what was going on externally and how their bodies were reacting in terms of running and, and stuff like that. But at that point, I was like, boy, isn't anybody feeling anything emotionally while this is going on? I would have liked some emotion in there. And I don't think there was a lot of emotion from the characters in the book.
Yeah. What comes to mind now is oftentimes when you read a suspenseful story, you don't suspect that some little twist is going to come on down the road. But in this, there were some obvious things that the characters didn't catch that I saw, we saw. What I'm talking about? We don't want to give away the story, but that was maybe something that was a little too obvious.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, things like we're like, don't they, wouldn't they think of this?
Yeah.
Kind of thing, yeah. I mean, the book's not defined by stuff like that, but there were incidents, I would say. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, did the plight of the characters, I put invoke, is it invoke or evoke? I think evoke emotions in you.
Just the suspenseful parts.
Yeah.
One thing, I don't know if you call that anxiety or whether it's... And also feeling bad for certain family members without giving away the story.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Some family issues going on and family being affected by these things, and also putting, I I don't know. Well, maybe I did get lost in the story a little bit because it's like you're there experiencing. You have moments where you're there experiencing what they're going through, and so just the feeling of come on, come on, come on, come on, come on! Don't you see the thing in the corner that got mentioned earlier that you could use to take care of this situation, and stuff like that. And so. Did you feel anything about the settings of the story? I wish we could hook up some probes to our minds, and I could see what the lab looked like to you, the tool shed on the outside, the road where the accident happens, and the house that Jack, the protagonist, lives in. I have pictures of all those things, and every time they're mentioned. But I guess anytime you read a novel, you get that.
You need to do a Vulcan mind meld.
Yes. If only we could do that. Michael Crichton, if he had written about that, we'd probably be able to now.
That's right. Prophetic nature.
Yes. But I thought the settings. It was descriptive. I definitely had pictures of where they were and what they were doing.
Oh, I definitely did too. And a lot of times books will be bogged down with description.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing of listing the whole meal that somebody orders at a restaurant.
Right.
or these cozy stories where they talk about the decorating in the room. There was none of that, and yet you did have a picture in your mind of what. So that was good.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought it was well done. Were there characters you wanted to root for, or root against, or feel sorry for, or
all of the above?
Yeah. The main protagonist is Jack, and the book's written in first person, so Jack is telling the story, which is getting back to the emotions thing. Of course, Jack wouldn't have known the emotions going on in other people, so he wouldn't have been able to explain. All he'd be able to explain is what he was seeing, how he was seeing them respond, but he could have talked about himself. But anyway, Jack, totally rooting for Jack. And rooting against, without giving it away, rooting against the swarms and what they did to certain people.
Which made me feel so sorry for the bunny.
Oh, yeah. That bunny. Now, that was well described. What went on with that thing? I forgot about that. Anyway, we won't go into it here. So the main protagonist, Jack, what do you think was the highest obstacle he had to jump over in resolving the main conflict?
That's a hard question for me.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in class.
When I thought these through in my head last night, I came right up with an answer for that.
You don't remember. Yeah, that's
these are the senior things.
Can you repeat the question, or should we move on?
What do you think was the highest obstacle Jack had to jump over in resolving the main conflict? Oh, yeah, I can.
What was the main conflict?
Well, the main conflict, not just conflict between people, but the thing that he encountered.
Yeah.
So the swarm, I think, is the main conflict, but there was also conflict with relational conflicts that I think probably made the whole thing really hard for him.
But you're asking me not. What are you asking us?
What was the main obstacle?
Oh, obstacle.
I think it involved maybe the family issue. So
yeah.
I don't know.
You'll have to read the book. if you're going to
Yeah.
read it, or put your answer in
I
the
mean,
comments.
could I say his relationship with his wife and how
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I
and-
don't know how much to give away.
and how that plays into this whole thing. So, did you feel anything for the human antagonists, the people who worked against him?
Well,
Anger, sadness.
yeah. Oh, yeah, label my feelings.
Just some examples. You look like you're having trouble.
No, I appreciate it. So I got angry with who I thought was his wife. So I guess I should leave it at there.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and
Oh, and
That-
also to the dork who was
right.
what was his name, or maybe
Ricky,
Ricky,
I think. Yeah.
and how stupid he was acting, but we understand why.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. You're like.
But not at first.
You're like, why are they acting this way? And then you're like, what's going on with them? Is that really them, or is
Yeah.
And then you find out in the end what's happening. But yeah, so that was the same kind of emotions I had toward them, or reactions. What effect do you think the author's writing in first person perspective had upon the story?
Well, I never thought about what you just brought up here. Was maybe that the fact that he could just observe what was going on with somebody else, but in writing you can usually know what's going on in somebody's head. So maybe that
Right.
was something that I didn't like, or that I would have liked to know more what the other people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That's the thing about first person. That character also needs to be in all the scenes, unless he's learning about something that happened somewhere else through a newspaper article or somebody talking to him, but he's always there. He's telling the story, and whereas the omniscient narrator can tell you everything everybody's thinking and feeling and whatnot, but with the first person, you're seeing it through his eyes, and so I think there is more of that feeling of, I'm here watching this happen with
That's
him,
true.
and what
So
he's going through.
it's a strength and a weakness.
Yes.
Mm.
And I don't know if you call it a weakness. It's just a way to tell a story, and that's the way Crichton chose to do. And
Well, I liked some things, and I didn't like other things about them.
Yeah. Okay. Were you satisfied with how the book ended?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
The way things got resolved, yes. I did feel in the moment while you were reading that part, and I thought that felt a little rushed to me, because Jack saying, and then I found out about this, and later so and so, and so it's like it's tying up a lot of loose ends, and it felt kind of rushed. But on the other hand, if you were going to play all that out, it's Prey Volume 2. It would have to be. And so, and once again, being first person, that probably helped with that, because this is Jack explaining what happened in the aftermath. It's just his personal experience.
That's right.
So overall, I was not disappointed. I mean, when we closed the book, I thought that was a really good story. Really good story.
Me too. And you being an author are picking all this stuff out that I just, now I'm going to be more discerning when I read the next one, but I would not see a lot of these things that I'm doing, kind of moments, but I never did that at the time I was reading it. That makes sense.
So this is not just a literary road trip, it's a literary class.
Yes, Professor.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I think we've already talked about this, but I've got thumbs up, thumbs down, or eh.
Yeah. Oh, so
I say thumbs up.
Yeah, I say thumbs up. And instead of you should say meh.
Yeah, meh.
Oh, I see.
But meh is a good word for something like that. So
You have to explain it.
I might change that. In going forward. Good call. Good call. So so now we're leaving Illinois.
We're done?
Yes,
Oh.
we are, and we will be heading east into Indiana. Indiana, the Hoosier States. Indiana, Hoosiers. Who's your author, Indiana? Well, I have chosen somebody you may have never heard of, and this is going to be historical fiction. We're going to do a variety of things on this road trip, but James Alexander Thom, and that Tom is spelled Thom. Is that like Major Tom? Ground control. But anyway, I've chosen James Alexander Thom mainly because we had these two books lying around here that we got at the. We were on vacation. We bought these two books at a George Rogers Clark historical site down in southern Indiana. I grew up with my mom telling me that George Rogers Clark is my great sixth great's uncle, and whether that's true or not,
Like family lore.
well, somebody paid a genealogist who might just have come up with a name to make them happy. I don't know. He never married, but he could still be an uncle without having ever married, you know. But he was half brother of William Clark of the Lewis and Clark expedition. But if that's who I'm descended from, why wouldn't they say you're a descendant of William Clark? Because he's a pretty famous dude. But anyway, whatever that may be the case there, that's what I've grown up thinking. And George Rogers Clark was lived in Revolutionary War times and was a hero, not where all the heated battle was going on to the east, but he was in Illinois and Indiana, and actually captured a fort, I think, from the British, if I remember correctly, without firing a shot, and so became a hero for stuff like that. Now, I don't know if I bored you with all of that. A lot of people get bored with history, but historical fiction is pretty cool. We had these two books that we bought at that site when we were on vacation, and the other book is called Follow the River, and Nancy got right into reading that. I haven't read either one of them yet.
Loved it.
She told me she would think about it while she's trying to go to sleep, and I mean,
Okay.
I think so.
I'm sure if you remember.
Sounds good.
I don't remember stuff.
But didn't want to make her reread the same book. So the other book that we got is called Long Knife, and that sounded so familiar to me when I got it. So I think I have heard of the book somewhere back in time. The story of a great American hero, George Rogers Clark. So it's not a history; it's historical fiction. And one thing I read about James Alexander Thom was that he was well known for the accuracy of his stories. A lot of times historical fiction, I guess they can play with stuff because they are creating a whole different story, but he was meticulous in his research, and so it's historically accurate. And if it's anything like the other book that you read, we're in for a good month. And hopefully that's going to be the case.
And we will be reading this book in Indiana when we are on our.
Actually, no, we'll be done with it before we get there.
Man. I
Yeah,
thought that was so cool when we're at
I
a bed and
know.
breakfast.
I know. I was
Maybe we
wishing.
should change our
I was wishing we.
change our vacation.
I was wishing we had timed it. Anyway, yeah, we'll be reading Michigan author when we're in Indiana.
Oh, okay. Well,
So-
close enough.
But we're going near the Michigan border, so and we've actually found a church over the border that we're going to visit. So we'll be in Michigan too while we're reading the Michigan.
Well, we can take it with us and read it to each other in the coffee shop.
Oh yeah. So we'll get right on this and see you back here on the 15th. We get the glare off of there. The 15th of next month. Should you decide to join us, we hope you do. And until then, God bless and happy reading.